Today, we will explore the wisdom of King Solomon and the teachings of our sages on one of the most important topics in life, earning a respectable livelihood and, if possible, achieving wealth. The questions we'll address are how to reach financial success, how to avoid mistakes along the way, and how to balance natural efforts with spiritual endeavors. We'll also discuss the internal attitude one should have toward money, livelihood, and honor. King Solomon says in Proverbs 10:22, "The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it." This verse teaches that while one may achieve financial success, there are cases where it comes with great sorrow. Similarly, in Psalms 127, 1 through 2, it says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil." King Solomon speaks of bread of anxious toil, a livelihood that comes with stress and sorrow. Some people work tirelessly from early morning until late at night, pursuing wealth at the expense of their peace of mind, health, and relationships. There's a well-known story about a wealthy man in the US who, at the age of 70, celebrated his birthday with his family. His grandchildren asked him for advice based on his life experience. He said, "My advice is not to make the mistake I made. In the first half of my life, I spent my health to make money, and in the second half, I spent my money to regain my health." Young and ambitious individuals often aim for high achievements, but end up harming themselves. It is important to remember that money is a tool, not a goal. It is meant to help us live well and comfortably, not to become a source of constant stress and misery. A wise person understands this balance. There are many cases where people achieve financial success, yet their relationships and personal lives suffer. I've heard from women who say, "My husband became successful, but he forgot we exist. He only cared about work and business. Now that he remembers me, I no longer feel anything for him." A truly wise person sees potential problems in advance and takes measures to avoid them. As our sages say, who is wise? One who sees what is yet to come. While striving for wealth is not inherently wrong, it must not come at the cost of health, family, or spiritual life. The ultimate goal is to live a balanced and fulfilling life. Let us consider a few practical tips, both from natural efforts and spiritual guidance, on how to approach livelihood and wealth responsibly. When a young person is deciding on a career path, it's crucial to take time to choose wisely. I often recommend that young people gift themselves a unique opportunity. Take some time to study Torah in a yeshiva. Even a few months can provide invaluable skills, like learning Gemara, Talmud, Halacha, Jewish law, and personal development. This foundation helps one navigate life with clarity and purpose. For those who grew up in Torah-based schools, there is often a strong base of knowledge in Humash, Bible, Mishnah, and Gemara. However, for many who attended secular schools, the opportunity to gain this foundation may come later in life. When such individuals awaken to their Jewish identity and the richness of Torah, spending even a short period in yeshiva can be transformative. It is similar to how people take time off work for professional courses or certifications to enhance their career prospects. Here too, the investment of time in spiritual growth yields lifelong benefits. These months of Torah study will shape not only how you approach your career, but also how you build a meaningful and balanced life. Let us remember, while wealth is a tool, the ultimate goal is a life filled with peace, purpose, and connection to ourselves, our families, and our Creator. When a young man or woman is searching for a career or livelihood, what should they pursue? With so many options, it's essential to strike the right balance. From a practical perspective, the best choice is to find work that aligns with two key factors: something you love to do and something that is in demand. Loving what you do means that even if you weren't paid for it, you'd still enjoy waking up in the morning and engaging in it because it brings joy to your heart. For example, some people love working with youth, helping those who face challenges or are at risk. Others have a passion for art. It's crucial to find what you love, something that makes you say, even without a paycheck, I'd still do this, though I need to make a living, of course. On the other hand, simply chasing a high-demand career without passion can leave you unfulfilled. For instance, someone might hear that electrical engineering or construction engineering is in high demand, but if they don't enjoy it, they might earn a degree, work for a year or two, and then feel a deep lack of satisfaction. It becomes difficult to wake up in the morning and find purpose in their work. Therefore, there's no point in pursuing a career path that doesn't resonate with you. This principle applies even in the Torah world. For instance, someone may have a talent and love for writing Torah scrolls, tefillin, or mezuzot. If they enjoy it and feel fulfilled, they should pursue it wholeheartedly. Another person might not enjoy sitting still for long hours and prefers a more dynamic environment. Someone else may find joy in helping others, such as working as a marriage counselor, fostering peace in families while earning a livelihood. The Mishnah Berurah raises a fascinating question in its commentary on halacha. When someone works in a field that involves a mitzvah, commandment, such as writing tefillin or mezuzot, does their work count as fulfilling a mitzvah, or is it simply a means of earning money? For example, a doctor who heals others, or a builder who constructs homes in Israel, both involve mitzvot. Does such work earn spiritual reward, or is it merely a source of income? The Mishnah Berurah explains that it depends on the person's mindset. If their primary intention is to fulfill the mitzvah, for example, I'm writing tefillin as a mitzvah, though I also need to earn a living, then they will receive spiritual reward in the world to come. However, if they are solely focused on earning money and have no thought of the mitzvah, their reward is limited to their paycheck. This illustrates the profound power of intention, where integrating spirituality into one's work can elevate it significantly. When choosing a career, young people should reflect on two key questions. What do I love to do, even if I weren't paid for it? Is there a market demand for this work? It's important to be realistic. For example, some young people are passionate about music and dream of becoming world-famous performers. While having a beautiful voice is a gift, the music industry is highly competitive, and very few achieve lasting success. If you love music, consider pursuing it as a hobby, rather than relying on it for a livelihood. Otherwise, disappointment can follow when dreams of fame don't materialize. Many who chase quick stardom, whether in music or other industries, find that fame is fleeting. They may experience a brief period of admiration, only to be replaced by the next new talent. The glittering appeal of external success often fades quickly, leaving people feeling empty. In contrast, those who dedicate themselves to meaningful endeavors, such as acts of kindness or personal growth, are valued not for fleeting achievements, but for their enduring impact. In summary, when choosing a career, focus on two key factors. Find something you love to do, even without pay. Ensure there is a demand for it in the market. While these two elements may not always align perfectly, aim to combine them as much as possible. Choose a path that brings fulfillment and aligns with practical considerations, so you can build a life that is both meaningful and sustainable. With effort, prayer, and a focus on what truly matters, you can find a livelihood that enriches your life. When choosing a job or a workplace, it's essential to consider spiritual aspects alongside practical ones. Even for someone who already has a profession and is deciding between several job offers, spirituality should factor into the decision. Is the environment respectful and ethical? Is the atmosphere one of decency and integrity, or is it full of gossip, competition, and unethical behavior? Unfortunately, some workplaces have led to the breakdown of families due to temptations and inappropriate relationships. Men and women in the workplace must always remember a crucial rule: maintain clear boundaries. Both spouses should encourage and support each other in adhering to this principle. If working in mixed environments, ensure that all interactions, even with colleagues or supervisors, remain strictly professional and limited to work matters. Personal conversations, such as asking, "How are you doing? How is everything at home?" should be avoided. A polite, concise response like, "Thank God everything is fine," is sufficient before redirecting the discussion back to work. Personal conversations can lead to inappropriate situations, so it's best to focus solely on professional matters and maintain a clear boundary. For employers, it's vital to ensure modesty and propriety in the workplace. In mixed-gender environments, consider separate spaces for men and women. This approach not only upholds decency, but also enhances productivity, as employees can focus fully on their work without unnecessary distractions or tensions. Another critical consideration, especially for young people, is saving money. When income begins to flow in, it's tempting to spend on unnecessary things. But this is a significant mistake. If you're young and earning, save every dollar you can. Spend only on essential needs, and avoid wasting money on frivolities like extravagant dining or frequent overseas trips. Many older individuals regret not saving when they were younger, realizing too late that they could have used that money to buy a home instead of moving between rentals. Some wonder how certain communities, such as ultra-Orthodox Jews, manage to purchase homes for their children. The answer lies in the value they place on saving from a young age. Every penny counts, and while they spend where necessary, they prioritize saving to achieve long-term stability. Once you've saved money and are ready to invest, the Talmud offers timeless advice. In Bava Metzia it says, "A person should always divide their assets into 3 parts, 1/3 in land, 1/3 in business, and 1/3 kept as cash." The commentary explains the unique advantages of each category. If you've saved money and wish to invest, don't put all your funds into one project. Diversification is crucial. For example, 1/3 in real estate. Buy a home or land. If you already own a home, purchase another property to rent out. 1/3 in business or trade. This could include running a store or investing in stocks, though not all your money should go into high-risk investments. 1/3 in cash. Keep some liquid assets for emergencies or opportunities. When investing, especially in stocks, proceed cautiously. The sages teach, grasp too much and you'll grasp nothing. While some people make impressive gains, it's also possible to lose everything in an instant. Never risk money you need for essential living expenses. High-risk investments should be made only with surplus funds that you can afford to lose. Avoid borrowing money for speculative ventures. Many have taken loans to open businesses, only to face financial ruin when the venture failed, leaving them burdened with debt. Risk only what you can afford to lose, and always approach investments with calculated caution and clear boundaries. Our sages teach us a balanced approach to managing finances. 1/3 of one's resources in land, 1/3 in trade, and 1/3 in liquid assets. This last portion, as explained by our sages, is essential because having cash on hand allows a person to handle sudden unexpected expenses. Simply put, don't leave yourself in a position where you lack the funds to meet an immediate need. This teaching applies to the average person. For someone blessed with substantial wealth, diversifying into multiple assets is a viable strategy. In today's world, where property prices in many areas continue to rise, it might make sense to invest in real estate. Not only do properties increase in value, but they also generate rental income, providing a steady financial foundation. For instance, one could live comfortably and focus on spiritual pursuits, such as studying Torah, with a reliable income from property rentals. Each person must assess their priorities carefully. When choosing a career, it's also vital to consider the needs of family, time for spiritual growth, and overall life balance. A high-paying job that consumes every waking moment and leaves no room for personal or spiritual life can take a toll on health, relationships, and happiness. Sometimes it's wiser to accept a lower salary in exchange for more manageable work hours, ensuring time for oneself, one's family, and spiritual growth. Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, in Ruach Chaim on Pirkei Avot, emphasizes the importance of seeking advice before embarking on significant ventures, whether it's starting a business or making a major decision. Consult experienced individuals, elders, or experts in the field. Even when an opportunity seems foolproof, it's prudent to ask, what am I missing? If something appears too good to be true, it often is. Why hasn't everyone seized this opportunity? Seek wisdom from knowledgeable people, parents, or even spiritual mentors, then weigh all the input to make your final decision. Additionally, cultivating humility is crucial. As our sages say, a wise person learns from everyone. Every individual you meet knows at least one thing you don't. Listen and be open to learning, even if you don't ultimately follow the advice. In business, it's vital to avoid letting negative traits such as pride or the pursuit of honor dictate decisions. Focus on your goal, earning a livelihood in an honest and Torah-guided way. This requires setting aside personal ego and cultivating positive interpersonal relationships. Being pleasant and kind in professional settings not only builds a good reputation but also strengthens character. Consider this. Flight attendants are trained to be courteous and composed, even under challenging circumstances. Why? Because it's part of their job, and they're paid to maintain a positive demeanor. If they can manage this for a paycheck, shouldn't we apply the same principle at home, with our loved ones? If you can stay calm and polite with a difficult customer, surely you can do the same with your spouse and children. By working on self-discipline and positive traits, a person not only improves their financial situation, but also becomes a better, more refined individual. Now let's move from practical efforts to spiritual principles. How does one attain true blessing? As King Solomon wrote, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth." Excessive labor and effort don't necessarily lead to wealth. Many people work tirelessly, sacrificing their health and happiness, yet see little success. The key is aligning your actions with divine principles and relying on God's blessing to guide your endeavors. There are people who seem to have a golden touch. Everything they do leads to success and prosperity. However, the Gemara at the end of Tractat Kiddushin teaches us that no profession guarantees wealth, and no line of work is inherently without livelihood. In every trade, some people become wealthy, while others struggle. Ultimately, it all depends on the blessing of the Almighty. We see this in life. There are highly educated, intelligent individuals living in poverty, while others, who can't even sign their name, become rich. They lack formal education, but everything they touch flourishes because they have divine assistance. They make minimal effort, and God's blessing brings them abundance. The question arises, how can one achieve a state where they receive the blessing of God? Every mitzvah, commandment, has a unique power that provides specific benefits, in addition to the reward in the world to come. Some mitzvot, as taught in the Torah, particularly assist with livelihood. One such mitzvah is washing hands before eating bread and reciting the Birkat Hamazon, grace after meals, afterward. The Gemara explains, based on Kabbalistic teachings, that water symbolizes kindness, abundance, and blessings. One of the sages, Rava, said, "When I wash my hands and fill them with water, the Almighty fills my hands with blessings and good livelihood." However, many people perform the ritual washing incorrectly. Some open the faucet and wash their hands directly, or they use a vessel but pour water quickly without care. The proper way is to take a vessel, preferably reusable, though disposable is acceptable if necessary, fill it with water, and begin by pouring on the right hand using the left. The left symbolizes strength and the right symbolizes kindness, showing that strength should serve kindness. While pouring, it is important to rotate the hand so that the water covers the entire hand, up to the wrist. If needed, roll up the sleeves to ensure the water reaches every part. After pouring 3 times on the right hand, refill the vessel or use remaining water and repeat the process on the left hand. This is different from the morning ritual washing after sleep, where water is alternated between hands, right then left, 3 times. Why is this alternation performed in the morning? Because sleep is considered a partial death, and awakening symbolizes a kind of resurrection. Washing in the morning helps cleanse and refresh the soul, contributing to better sleep and reducing stress and nightmares. Reading the Shema and Hamapil blessings before bed further enhances this effect. Parents can help children recite the Shema, even just the verse, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Ehad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Before eating bread, one should wash hands 3 times on each hand consecutively, then lift them to the level of the face and recite the blessing, Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning the washing of hands. After eating, Birkat Hamazon should be recited. This is a Torah commanded mitzvah based on the verse, You will eat, be satisfied, and bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Deuteronomy 8:10. While Birkat Hamazon may seem lengthy, it is a critical mitzvah. For those who feel it is too long, they can complete it up to the section beginning with Harahaman and still fulfill the primary obligation. However, the additional prayers in Birkat Hamazon provide a special opportunity to request abundance and blessings. Another practice tied to financial blessing, as taught by our sages, is honoring 2 queens in Judaism, Shabbat, the 7th day of the week, and the Jewish woman, whose soul is rooted in Sephirat Malhut, the Kabbalistic attribute of kingship. Honoring Shabbat involves not only observing it, but also preparing for it with care and reverence. Observing Shabbat blesses one's finances, as it infuses the work of the entire week with a soul of abundance. By respecting Shabbat, one invests a little but reaps great rewards. But it's not just about observing Shabbat, it's about honoring Shabbat. Honoring Shabbat means wearing beautiful clothes, as if you are going to a special event. Sometimes in synagogues, you see people coming to pray on Shabbat, which is wonderful, but they are wearing weekday clothes, shorts and a t-shirt. It's a shame. If you're already observing Shabbat, even partially wear nice clothes, as if you're attending a celebration. That's honoring Shabbat. Even someone living on a deserted island, with no one around, should dress up for Shabbat. You might ask, who is there to see me? The answer is, you're not dressing for others, you're dressing in honor of the holy Shabbat. When Shabbat arrives, it's called Shabbat the Queen. That's why in the synagogue on Friday evening, after afternoon prayer, everyone turns toward the west. Typically, the Aron Kodesh, Holy Ark, faces east, although it always depends on the location relative to Jerusalem. Around the world, synagogue arks are oriented toward Israel. In Israel, synagogues face Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem, the ark is directed toward the Temple Mount. Why is this important? The verse says, "And they will pray to you through their land." When we pray, our words, like sound waves, travel to the temple's location and from there ascend to the heavens. When Jacob had his dream of the ladder, he said upon awakening, "This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." The gate of heaven is a spiritual portal, and it is located at the Temple Mount. If we had spiritual eyes, we would see prayers from all over the world converging at the temple and ascending upwards. Likewise, all blessings and sustenance for the world descend from that location and spread everywhere. When the temple stood, this process was even more powerful. The temple was like a massive vessel that conducted divine abundance. With its destruction, much of the spiritual and material bounty we could have received was lost. The Gemara even recounts that King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon once demanded that the sages of Israel tell him what he had dreamed, though he couldn't recall it himself. The sages responded that they could no longer access such knowledge because he had destroyed the temple. Honoring Shabbat is not only about observing its rules, but also about creating a festive atmosphere. Shabbat meals should be more elaborate than weekday meals. While on weekdays one might eat a simple dinner, such as an omelette and salad, on Shabbat the table should feature meat, fish, and delicious dishes. Even a wealthy person whose daily meals are luxurious should make Shabbat stand out by preparing something even more special. For children, it's good to create an association that Shabbat is sweet and delightful. For example, reserve special treats or candies that are only given on Shabbat. After lighting the Shabbat candles, a mother can bless her children, pray for her husband, and then hand each child a special bag of treats. This helps children feel the sweetness and joy of Shabbat. Respect for one's wife is also deeply connected to blessings. A person must honor his wife with kind words, compliments, and consideration. The Gemara states, a person should always be cautious not to cause his wife anguish, as her tears flow easily and her pain is close at hand. Avoid hurtful words and treat your wife with respect and kindness. This too brings blessing into the household, including financial blessing. Another key teaching from the Gemara is the power of prayer in bringing livelihood. In ancient times, people would pray before planting or harvesting their crops. Today, before a job interview, starting a new business, or even on the way to work each morning, a person should pray and ask God for success and blessing. It's also good to include a spiritual intention in such prayers. Ask for wealth not just for personal comfort, but to help others, to support Torah scholars, assist needy families, and perform acts of kindness. When spiritual purposes are incorporated into one's aspirations, even if the person's natural fate doesn't warrant wealth, God may grant them abundance for the sake of the good they intend to do. Another important point related to financial blessings is giving maaser, tithes, and charity. Even if a person earns only a little, they should give something. Ideally, one should give 10% of their net income, after deducting all business expenses, such as transportation, rent, taxes, and other costs related to running the business. Whatever remains as net profit, 10% of that should be given to charity. If giving 10% is difficult, they should give whatever they can. Any amount of charity brings blessings to one's finances. The Gemara also teaches something fascinating. When a person gives charity, it can prevent financial losses. For example, money that might have been spent on accidents, damages, or repairs is instead allocated to charity, reducing the need for such expenditures. The Gemara in Bava Batra, page 10a, explains this principle. Just as a person's sustenance is decreed on Rosh Hashanah, so too are their losses. The Gemara recounts a story about Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the great sages at the end of the Second Temple era, and his sister's sons, who were wealthy merchants. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had a dream that foretold they would lose 700 gold coins that year. Without telling them directly, he approached them and encouraged them to give generously to charity. Each time, he presented them with worthy causes, supporting Torah scholars, assisting needy families, or funding community projects. Feeling obligated by their relationship with Rabban Yochanan, they complied and gave. By the end of the year, they had given nearly the full 700 coins to charity, leaving just 17 coins unaccounted for. As Yom Kippur approached, officials from the Roman government accused them of unpaid taxes and imprisoned them. The authorities demanded exactly 17 coins for their release. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai visited them in prison, reassured them not to worry, and paid the remaining amount for their freedom. When they asked how he knew the exact amount needed, he explained the dream he had at the beginning of the year. They were astonished and asked, "Why didn't you tell us earlier? We could have given the full amount to charity instead of losing it to the authorities." Rabbi Yohanan replied, "Had I told you, you would have given the money out of self-interest, knowing it was destined to be lost anyway. Instead, each time you gave, it was for the sake of heaven, not knowing it was to save you from losses." The Gemara concludes with an important lesson. The amount a person will lose in a year is predetermined. A wise person ensures that these losses are directed toward charity rather than accidents, repairs, or damages. By giving to charity, they fulfill a mitzvah and avert unnecessary hardships. There is a well-known story about Rabbi Shach, the elder of the yeshiva heads in Israel. During the time when Menachem Begin rose to power, ending years of left-wing dominance, the ultra-Orthodox members of the Knesset came to Rabbi Shach to advocate for Torah institutions. They told him, "Until now the left has persecuted Torah and yeshivas. Begin, however, is a man who is warm towards Judaism. He is known for saying, 'With God's help, and blessed be God.' We want to take advantage of this opportunity. Instead of the crumbs yeshivas currently receive, we could ask for an increase, let's say from 5% of the expenses to 10%. Rabbi Shach responded, "Why only 10%? I know that the only thing sustaining the Jewish people and preserving future generations is Torah study. This is true, and all research and common sense confirm it. Where there are no yeshivas or kollels, even religious communities have eventually assimilated into the nations around them. Even someone who works for a living needs a kollel in their neighborhood and a yeshiva to provide guidance and spiritual stability, ensuring people do not drift into unhealthy paths." When Begin heard this, he surprised everyone by saying, "Why just 10%? I want 100% of yeshiva expenses to be funded by the state, just as we provide large sums for university students. A yeshiva student is no less important than a student of history or other fields." The delegation was overjoyed. They rushed to Rabbi Shach's home to share the news. The new prime minister has agreed to cover 100% of yeshiva expenses. But Rabbi Shach calmed them down and said, "Tell him no. Stick to the smaller amount you originally requested. Don't ask for more." They were stunned. Rabbi Shach explained, "Today, Begin is prime minister, but tomorrow someone else will take his place. Currently, yeshiva heads travel abroad to raise funds. They meet wealthy donors, deliver Torah lessons, and strengthen communities. This benefits both the communities and the yeshivas. If the state fully funds the yeshivas, overseas donors will stop contributing. When a future prime minister reduces the budgets, there will be no donors left to turn to, and the entire system could collapse. It's better for the state to give a smaller amount, so the Jewish people as a whole continue to have a shared responsibility in supporting Torah." Begin was reportedly shocked when the delegation returned with Rabbi Shach's request to reduce the funding, but he complied. History later proved Rabbi Shach's wisdom. Future governments drastically cut yeshiva budgets, causing financial crises. At the same time, a global economic downturn, including a major crisis in the United States, significantly reduced donations from abroad. Yeshivas were left struggling. One after another, yeshiva heads came to Rav Shach asking, "Should I continue borrowing to sustain the yeshiva, or should I close it? How can I manage when we're already hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt?" Rabbi Shach would ask each one for a detailed breakdown of their debts and their needs for the coming year. Everyone knew he had no money, but they brought the information anyway. After collecting all the data, Rabbi Shach contacted a wealthy donor in Canada named Reichman, who has since passed away. Rabbi Shach said, "The world of Torah is in danger. I need your help." Reichman asked, "How much do you need?" Rabbi Shach replied with the total amount owed by all the yeshivas, millions of dollars. Reichman, who greatly admired Rabbi Shach, responded, "Rabbi, the check will be with you in a few days." He sent the full amount, and Rabbi Shach distributed it among the yeshivas, stabilizing their situation and restoring calm. Reichman left behind a remarkable legacy. It is said that he wrote 2 wills. The first was to be opened before his funeral, and the second after. When the first will was opened, it contained just one line: "I request to be buried with 1 sock." This unusual request caused confusion. According to Jewish law, the deceased are buried without shoes or socks. The burial society consulted leading rabbis, who ruled that even a prominent figure like Reichman must follow the law and be buried without a sock. After the funeral, the second will was opened. It began with these words: "I wanted you to understand that we take nothing with us, not even a single sock. The only things we carry to the next world are Torah, mitzvot, and good deeds. I ask my children to continue giving generously to charity, just as I did." His legacy of charity and support for Torah study continues to inspire. May this story serve as a blessing for the people of Israel, for the soldiers of Israel, and for all of us. May God fulfill all our good wishes and grant us long, blessed lives. Amen and amen.